At the bottom of the ocean, where the light begins to break, something stirs. Not with force, not with sound, but with the ghost-like grace of intelligence wrapped in skin. It doesn't have bones, or a centralized brain, but it can solve puzzles, mimic other creatures, and disappear without warning. This is not a fish. It is something else. An echo of an idea the Earth had. Just once, the octopus. If nature is an artist, the octopus is its surrealist masterpiece. A creature so strange, so outside the template of typical evolution, that scientists often describe it as alien. 3 hearts, blue blood, 8 arms lined with neurons, each thinking independently, yet somehow, all part of the same being. It can change the color and texture of its skin instantly, not just to blend in, but to communicate. It speaks in patterns, pulses, and pigments, a living canvas, and no one really knows how it works. Its body is soft, vulnerable, unprotected, but in that fragility lies its power to vanish, to squeeze through cracks, to become something else. But this is not a video about camouflage or intelligence. This is a story about time and choices, and a kind of love that ends in silence. Because the most haunting truth about the octopus is how it dies. Unlike many animals, the octopus lives only once. No long lifespan, no return. It lives fast, thinks deeply, and dies alone. When a female lays her eggs, she finds a quiet place, a rock crevice, a small cave, anywhere safe from predators. And then, she stops eating, she stops swimming, she stays. Days become weeks. Her body withers, her skin fades, but she remains, watching over thousands of delicate translucent orbs. And when they hatch, she dies. Scientists call it semoparity, a reproductive strategy where death follows birth. But science doesn't explain the silence, the stillness, the way she chooses to become a ghost before letting go. Why does she do it? Why does a creature so intelligent, so capable, give itself up completely? Some say it's biology, others say instinct. But maybe it's devotion. Maybe it's the price of love for something that will never know you existed. Cut to black. Slow fade in of drifting baby octopuses. Imagine living your entire life knowing it will end the moment you create life. Would you still do it? The octopus does. No hesitation, no doubt. As if sacrifice is not tragedy, but nature's original promise. And maybe that's the real mystery. Not how it changes color, or how it opens jars, but how it chooses silence instead of survival, stillness instead of strength. The octopus is not afraid of disappearing. It accepts its fate, becomes the background, becomes the sea, becomes a ghost. But not all octopuses die the same. There's one that haunts the deep sea, rarely seen, always alone. The Granellodon boreopacifica, a mother that guards her eggs for over 4 years, without food, without movement, just watching, until the eggs hatch, and she dissolves into the darkness. No applause, no legacy, no name. We often measure intelligence by what a creature can build, solve, or dominate. But the octopus reminds us, maybe true wisdom is the ability to disappear at the right moment. Not because you failed, but because you fulfilled your purpose. Its body vanishes, but the ocean remembers. The coral keeps its secrets. The current carries its story. And somewhere, in a crack between rocks, another one begins. Asterisk, to disappear, but leave something behind. Not an empire, not a monument, but life. Moving, breathing, unaware of the one who gave everything. That's the octopus. And in a way, it's us. We like to think we are different, that our intelligence separates us. But how different are we, really? We build things. We name things. We leave legacies written in stone. But in the end, what do we truly leave behind? A touch, a lesson, a memory, a child. Not so different after all. The octopus doesn't mourn, not like we do. But its stillness says something. It's a language older than words, older than bones. It says, I was here, I gave all I had, and now, I fade. There is no funeral, no song, no grave. Only the sea, closing softly over what once moved. In our world, disappearance feels like failure. We cling to visibility, to permanence, to being remembered. But the octopus doesn't cling, it lets go, even when it still has life inside. Is that weakness? Or is it the deepest form of strength? Every animal on this planet carries a piece of a forgotten truth. The wolf teaches loyalty, the elephant memory, the raven cleverness. But the octopus, it teaches release, It teaches that not all endings are tragedies, that some are transformations. Its body dissolves, but its children drift. And in them, pieces of her remain, not in memory, but in instinct, in the way they move, hide, sense the world. She's not dead, she's scattered. What if that's us too? What if the things we do outlast us, not in our names, but in invisible ways? In the way someone breathes easier because we once listened. In the way a story is told because we once cared to share it. In the way a hand is held because once we didn't let go. The octopus doesn't need a witness. It doesn't need a eulogy. It doesn't need applause. It just exists. And then doesn't, but that middle part, the life was full. And that's enough. What if we stopped fearing disappearance? What if we stopped needing to be remembered and started needing to be present? What if we saw purpose not in how loud we live, but in how softly we care? The octopus doesn't ask for much. A cave, a current, a chance to pass something forward. And we're the same. Underneath our buildings and screens and noise, we're still animals searching for meaning in the dark. Its death isn't tragic. It's complete. It didn't run. It didn't fight the inevitable. It became the inevitable. And in doing so, it freed its children to begin again. There's a reason the octopus became a myth in so many cultures. A spirit, a god beneath the waves. Not because it was monstrous, but because it was misunderstood. Because it lived by rules we had forgotten how to see. We think of ghosts as sorrowful, trapped, lingering, but not this ghost. This ghost lived fully and left silently. No regret, no revenge, just release. And maybe that's the lesson. To live without needing recognition, to give without demanding return, to create knowing you might not be remembered, but trusting that something or someone will carry a piece of you anyway. So the next time you imagine what it means to be wise, don't look at the loud, the big, the permanent. Look at the soft, the silent, the strange. Look at the octopus, the creature that chose presence over permanence, stillness over spectacle, sacrifice over survival. The ocean is full of ghosts. Not the kind that haunt, but the kind that held on just long enough to let go. And when they disappear, they don't leave emptiness. They leave space. We often speak of intelligence as if it's a ladder, a race to the top, where humans sit above all others. But what if intelligence isn't linear? What if it spirals, expands sideways like an ink cloud, spreading through water? The octopus has no teacher, no school, no parent to pass down wisdom. And yet it learns faster than we expected. With no bones, no centralized brain, no language, just experience and touch and time. Each of its arms is a mind of its own, a neural network wrapped in muscle. Its suckers can taste and feel simultaneously. They remember textures, patterns, pain. This is not consciousness as we know it. This is something else. A decentralized wisdom. A body that thinks. It can open jars, solve mazes, escape sealed containers. It can watch you and know when you're watching it. And when you look away, it's gone. Some octopuses have escaped aquariums at night to hunt fish in nearby tanks and returned before morning. Not out of desperation, out of curiosity. But what haunts scientists is not what the octopus does. It's what it suggests. That a creature so different from us can still understand the world in its own way. That intelligence is not exclusive to mammals or primates or anything that looks like us. That maybe consciousness is more common than we think. More fluid, more fragile, more silent. The octopus has no shell, no armor. Every inch of its body is vulnerable. But maybe vulnerability is the price of awareness. Because to feel the world, you have to be open to it. You have to let it touch you, change you. And sometimes hurt you. So the octopus lives short lives. Not because it is weak, but because it is intense. It burns brightly for a brief time and then vanishes. And maybe that's not a flaw. Maybe it's the cost of sensing everything. We spend our lives trying to build walls, to protect, to control, to extend. But the octopus, it surrenders, it flows, it adapts, it becomes. Its body changes, its color shifts, its shape bends, not to impress, not to perform, but to survive, to belong, to disappear without being erased. We call it a ghost. But maybe that's just projection. Maybe we see in it what we're afraid to face in ourselves. That identity is fluid. That form is temporary. That even intelligence can be silent and unseen. The fossil record tells us that the ancestors of octopuses go back more than 300 million years, older than dinosaurs. older than trees. They were here before our continents took shape. They've changed, shaped themselves. From shelled to shelless, from armored to soft, from prey to predator and back again. That kind of adaptation isn't luck, it's wisdom. Not in the way we write it down, but in the way nature remembers. Through instinct, through silence, through survival. So what does it mean to call something intelligent? If it can solve, if it can adapt, if it can love, even once, isn't that enough? We have built telescopes, satellites, artificial minds. But have we learned to let go? Have we learned to give without taking? To protect something we'll never see again? The octopus has asterisk. It doesn't fight time. It doesn't fight fate. It accepts its place in the ocean's rhythm, not as a mistake, but as a moment, a perfect, vanishing moment. Asterisk. Some scientists wonder if octopuses dream. They've been seen changing colors while asleep, their skin pulsing with silent thoughts. Are they remembering, imagining, reliving the reef? Or are they drifting into something deeper, a consciousness without self? Asterisk. What would an octopus dream of? Freedom, escape, connection, or perhaps nothing. Because maybe the octopus doesn't need to dream of a better world. It already lives in one, and leaves it without bitterness. Asterisk. So much of our fear comes from the unknown future, the unknown end, the unknown purpose. But the octopus never asks, it just becomes. And in that becoming, it teaches us something we keep forgetting, that living is not about certainty, it's about presence. We call it the end because it feels final. Death, disappearance, oblivion. But what if it isn't? What if vanishing is just a return to what we were always part of? The octopus doesn't cling to life. It doesn't resist the closing chapter. It welcomes it, not as surrender, but as completion. Like a story that knew when to stop, so its meaning could echo longer. His children will never know her name, never see her face, never hear her voice. And yet, they carry her dot in the way they hide, in the way they explore, in the way they let the world shape them, without becoming less of themselves. That's legacy, not statues, not signatures, not followers, but impressions. Invisible fingerprints on moments that wouldn't exist without you. We chase immortality in strange ways, through fame, through status, through trying to be unforgettable. But what if we changed the question? Not how will I be remembered, but what will continue to move because I existed? The octopus moves through water with no trail, no wake, no sound, and yet the ocean shifts behind it. It disturbs without violence, touches without taking. That's present. What if we lived more like that? With gentleness, with purpose, with enough awareness to know when to hold on and when to let go. We think we must conquer time, defeat aging, overcome death. But the octopus shows us that maybe peace comes not from resisting the clock, but from dancing with it, not from building walls against time, but from opening windows through it. Its life is short, its impact invisible, but its silence is not emptiness. It is space for others to arrive. That, too, is creation. We name stars after ourselves, write our histories in books, design futures made of concrete and metal. But the octopus, it dissolves, and in doing so becomes part of everything else. Not a monument, but a memory woven into water. Perhaps it's time we rethink success, not as accumulation, but as contribution, not as visibility, but as resonance, not as permanence, but as presence. We often fear becoming nothing, but the octopus shows that becoming nothing is just another way of becoming everything. When it disappears, the sea grows quieter, the reef resets, new things begin. Its absence is an invitation for life to fill the space it once held. We speak of ghosts with dread, but the octopus became a ghost not to haunt, but to protect, to nurture in silence, to leave without fear. And maybe we can too. Maybe we don't need to be known to be meaningful. Maybe we don't need to be loud to be heard by the right things. Maybe we don't need to live forever to make something that does. So let us remember the octopus, not just as a creature of the deep, but as a teacher, a poet with no voice, a builder with no hands, a parent who dies for those who will never thank her. Let us remember that true strength is often soft, and true wisdom often silent. That to vanish is not to be lost, but to be absorbed into the mystery that makes life possible. She became a ghost. Yes, but ghosts, the good ones, never leave. Nothing behind. They leave stillness. They leave shape. They leave space for the next song to begin.